Ever since the inclusion of engine swaps that you can actually purchase after GT7 1.34, it is of course a natural question to wonder what engines can be put into what cars. So that is of course the purpose of this video. We're going to run through every type of engine in alphabetical order, so you can jump around the video if you think of, for example, Lamborghini or Honda or whatever type of engine you're looking for, to see what it can go into. And of course, if you are watching this video down the line, be sure to check out other videos on the channel if I've updated this list. Of course, I won't remake the whole thing, but I'll just make a video to add any more relevant vehicles that are added in later updates. So there are two primary things that you need to know. Number one is you need to be collector level 50 to be able to buy these swaps. The second thing is they cannot be reversed. So if you do it to a vehicle that was very hard to get or very expensive for you to pick up, you may want to consider doing that twice, because, as I said, you cannot reverse it and it will make it sometimes ineligible for certain events. So with that in mind, let's of course jump into Audi first of all. Now the Audi BYH R8 engine can currently be fitted to both the 2014 shape Audi TTS Coupe and the 1997 Toyota MR2 GTS. The next Audi engine is the R5 20VT Pikes Peak Quattro engine, which can be fitted into the 1983 Mark I Golf GTI, and I might add makes it an absolutely bonkers car to drive. The next one is a BMW motor, the P65 B44-Z4 racing engine, which can be fitted in both the 1973 3-litre CSL and the 2003 BMW M3 Coupe. Next up we have a bunch of Chevys. First of all, the LS9 Corvette engine, which for the moment can only be fitted in the 1978 Pontiac Trans Am. Then we have the Chevy LT1 Corvette motor, which can be fitted into the 2015 shape Mazda ND Roadster, aka the MX-5. Then of course we have the Chevy LT4 engine from the Camaro. This is a particular favourite of mine because you can drop it into the year 2000 TVR Tuscan, which makes for a very rapid car. Then we have the Chevy LT5 C7 Corvette engine. This one can be fitted into at least 6 different vehicles at the time of releasing this video, which is the 69 shape C3 Corvette Stingray, the also 69 shape C3 L46 Stingray, the 350. You can also put it into both the 1994 S14 shape Silvia K's and the 1996 Silvia K's Aero, also S14 shape. You can put it into the 2018 Subaru BRZ STI Sport, with great results as well. That's a very quick car. And of course, being the Subaru, as expected, the Toyota as well, the 2016 shape Toyota 86 GT Limited. Next up we have Dodge with the Hellcat Charger engine. You can currently put this into 3 vehicles. One of them is definitely a standout. First of all, we have the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT. The next one is the 1970 Plymouth Superbird, and my personal favourite of the 3, the 1945 Willys Jeep, which makes it borderline undrivable in most cases, but a hell of a lot of fun. Next up we have a couple of Ferrari engines with surprisingly limited usability. First of all, the F136 F458 Italia engine, which can be fitted into the 2014 Alfa Romeo 4C, kind of a nice little baby Alfa supercar. And then we have the Ferrari F140B Enzo engine, very, very cool engine, which you can put into the F40, no less. Very cool combination there, very Forza-esque. Then we have Ford, first of all with the 5-litre Coyote Mustang motor, which you can put into both the 1971 Pantera and the 1971 Mach 1 Mustang. Then we have a very spicy choice of swap, probably another one of my personal favourites, the Ford V8 GT LM race car test version engine, which you can drop into the 2018 Ford Focus RS, no less. Another bonkers build, very Gymkhana style. Then we have the Ford Voodoo motor, that's the 5.2-litre GT350R Mustang engine, which you can drop into the 32 Ford Roadster. Very cool little hot rod build there. Then we have Honda. Honda, of course, has quite a bit of compatibility. You've got the HR414E NSX racing engine from, of course, the GT500 car. You can drop that into the Amuse S2000. Pretty spicy swap there. You can drop it into both the 1992 and 2002 Type R NSXs, and interestingly, this is a bit of a weird one, in one of the rare occasions where it's technically a downgrade in terms of stock power, the 2017 Subaru BRZ Drift Car. Curious choice, but you might want to do that if you want to turn it into more of a race car build, I guess. Then we have another engine which, at least for me personally, I tend to win a lot, the K20C1 2020 shape Civic Type R engine, also of course from Honda. You can put this one into a few different cars with interesting results. You can put it into the 1970 Abarth 595SS, of course the sporty little Fiat 500 basically. You can put it into the 1991 Honda Beat, that one's pretty cool. You can put it into the 1998 EK Civic Type R and the 1998 DC2 Integra Type R, both pretty cool for some racing or track day builds, and probably my favourite of this particular engine swap, the 1965 Mini Cooper S, which in a similar way to the Pikes Peak Golf makes it pretty bonkers. Next up we have probably one of the most surprising engine swaps for me, and a very cool one, the only motorcycle engine swap, technically. It's the Honda SE75E from the Project 2 and 4, which, as I recall, I believe is a Honda race bike engine. I don't recall the model that it's from, but it says it in the car's description. You can put that into both the 2015 Honda S660 and, much more spicily, the 1966 Honda S800. Then we have, of course, one of the engines that everybody would have wanted to win, but very few of us probably ever did, the Lamborghini L539 Aventador SV engine, which you can interestingly only put into one car at the moment. An interesting choice of car as well, the 1988 25th anniversary Countach. Kind of a strange one. I would have thought it would have been more than just that, if not something else entirely, but for now, that's the option. Next up we have Lexus with the Racing SC430 engine. That's the 3UZ FE from, of course, another Super GT car. You can put that into both the 2013 shape Toyota Crown Athlete and the 2019 shape Toyota Tundra pickup, which of course those who follow special projects will probably remember that build. Next up we have Mazda, and of course with Mazda you're hoping for some rotary action, and that's exactly what you're going to get. First up with the RX-7 engine, a 13B REW. You can put this into both the 1989 Unos Roadster NA Special Package, in other words the old school MX-5, and the 1991 shape Suzuki Cappuccino, which I have already done, and it is one hell of an engine swap. You can get the little Cappuccino up around 260 miles an hour, which is a whole lot of fun. Then of course we have probably the most coveted and most badass engine swap of them all, certainly the most expensive, the Mazda 787B engine, the R26B quad-rotor monster. Interestingly, I didn't realise this new addition, but you can drop that engine into the 2019 Mazda 3X, the Burgundy Selection, which is a pretty awesome combination, definitely a nod towards the Pikes Peak Mazda 3, of course. You can also put it into the 1990 FC shape RX-7 GTX. As of course all of us would hope for, you can indeed drop it into the 2002 FD RX-7, that's the Spirit R in particular, and one of my personal favourites again, the 2012 shape Mazda RX-8. Now though we move into Nissan, and of course, although Porsche have seen a lot of favour with Gran Turismo in recent years, Nissan was always one of their favourites and very much bedfellows. First of all we have the Nissan LZ20B Skyline motor, which you can drop into the Greddy Fugu Z. You can drop it into two of the classic Skylines, both the 1973 2000 GTR, that's the KPGC 110, and the 1970 shape Skyline, the KPGC 10, which is the quote-unquote hardtop GTR as they call it. Then we have the Nissan SR20 DET S15 Silvia motor, which you can put into both the 1990 shape Silvia Ks, that's the S13 generation, Dia Selection, and the classic Fairlady Z 432 from 1969. Then we have the Nissan VK45DE GTR engine, which you can put into the 2008 Fairlady Z, that's a Z34, or as those of us in the UK and I'm sure other places call it, the 370Z. Then we have an engine which I actually haven't tried yet, I don't think, and I'm really looking forward to it, the Nissan VRH35Z from none other than my personal favourite Group C car, the R92CP, which you can put, interestingly, into a pair of Skylines, no less, the R33 V-Spec from 1997, and of course the R34 Spec 2 NER from 2002. Then of course we have a very famous engine from Nissan again, the VR38 DETT GTR Nismo engine. I feel like plenty of us have probably won this engine. This one is definitely one of my favourite swaps in the game and makes for a crazy car because you can drop that into the 1991 Lancia Delta. And that thing is a beast. You can put it into the 1996 180SX Type X as well. You can put it into the 1998 Nissan 300ZX, which makes for a very quick car on Route X, and one of the ones that definitely needs to come with an asterisk, and that is the S15 touring car. Very curious to be able to engine swap an actual race car. But the thing that you do need to note is, as tempting as that sounds, it immediately makes the car ineligible for balance of performance. So use it wisely, or at least have two of them. The next one is a pretty curious swap. A Pagani engine, of all things, which in other words means basically a Mercedes engine, a Pagani M158 AMG Huayra motor, which you can put into none other than the 1997 Supra from Toyota, the Supra RZ A80 shape, which of course is a pretty nice nod to the top secret Supra with the V12 engine at the time. Then we move into some, of course, spicy engines, and these were some of the ones which I never won, even with the engine swap exploit that we had ages ago, the Porsche motors. First up we have the Porsche M64/03 911 engine. You can put that into both the 1966 Beetle and the 1962 Samba bus, both of which are very spicy swaps. Then we also have the Porsche M97-80 911 engine, which you can put into both the 1981 911 Turbo and the 2016 GT3 RS. We then have the Roadster Shop Rampage engine, LS7, of course a Chevy motor technically. You can put that into the Amuse 380 RS Superleggera. That's a pretty interesting one. You can put it into the DeLorean, of all things, from 2004, which I've heard great things from many people in terms of it being one of their favourites. You can put it into the 1971 Fairlady 240ZG. That's the HS30 shape. And interestingly, you can actually drop it into the RE Amamiya RX-7, which is a curious one. Then we have, for me, definitely another one of the far less expected swaps, the roof motor from the CTR3. It's a CTR38 engine, which you can put into a 911, not too surprisingly, but a 1995 shape 993 Carrera RS. Pretty curious swap, that one. Then we have the Subaru LS7 BRZ engine. Of course, again, technically a Chevy motor from the drift car, and you can drop that into the S13 Silvia, the Silvia Qs from 1988. And any who have followed my speed builds will know that that car is a formidable opponent. It's incredibly quick. Then we have, of course, another one of the coolest engines, up there with the 787B and the Aventador, the Escudo engine. I feel like you could play the game forever and never win that engine in most cases, but it's the H25A Escudo motor. You can put that into two different Mitsubishis at the moment. I have my fingers crossed like crazy to be able to put an engine like this into the Toyota Alphard, but for now you can only put it into the 1991 Mitsubishi GTO Twin Turbo and the 2015 Mitsubishi Evo 10 Final Edition. That one sounds like an incredible proposition, an 1100 horsepower Pikes Peak style Evo, but trust me when I say, just like the Escudo itself, this engine comes with a hell of a lot of turbo lag. Next up we have a really interesting one, another Suzuki motor, but the V8 from the Group 3 Vision GT car. Very curious choice of engine there. You can put it into, just as curiously, the Alfa Romeo 4C Group 3 road car for some weird reason. You can put it into the 1989 BMW M3, the E30 shape. That's quite an interesting one, potentially quite a nice drift build there. And the 2015 Subaru BRZ-S. And of course, we've left the best until last. Well, not really, but if you ask the internet, it certainly is. The Toyota 2JZ GTE Supra engine. No way near as powerful in the game as it would be in real life with the right tuning, but you can put it into a couple of different cars, one of which is another one of my personal favourite builds, the 2002 S15 Silvia Spec R. You can put it into both the 2021 shape Subaru BRZ-S and the Toyota GR86RZ, and the one which I find the most interesting with this engine, especially fully tuned at 777 horsepower, the GR Yaris from 2020. A Supra 2JZ engine Yaris is a pretty cool build, and of course would make for some pretty cool Gymkhana style stuff against stuff like the Focus RS with the Ford GT engine, etc. And as I said, if you're watching this video later on down the line, if we have gone many updates later on, and you want to check in and see if there are any new additions, then I would definitely recommend checking that out on the channel. I might even put a link in the pinned comment down below, possibly in the description, if I do an updated version of the video, so that you can just go straight to that. But of course, if you've maybe learned some of these that you didn't already know, of course tell me down below, and if you found any of these to be particularly fun or your favourites, of course I'd love to hear about it. I certainly have my favourites, as I pointed out. But that's it overall for this particular rundown. Of course I'll see you next time with more, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.